Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Baseball Podcast with Alec Pecado. On today's show, we're going to go over, recap fantasy baseball from this weekend, give you my player of the weekend for fantasy baseball, my waiver wire tier list, IL stash, my top 4 IL players to stash, my top 3 2-star pitchers I like. And we are also going to review all the weekend games from MLB, and I'm going to give you my player and reliever of the week from last week in baseball. But why don't we get started now with the player of the weekend? And that would be Rays pitcher Zach Littell. On Saturday, he went 6 innings, giving up 1 run, no walks, struck out 7, pitched really well. And I think if you need pitching help, because there is a bunch of pitching injuries early in the season, that I think Zach Littell would be a good add. He did not make my waiver wire tier list this week, but if he can follow up his good first start of the season with another good start his next time out, then there's a good chance he'll be on the waiver wire tier list next week. And Zach Littell is a guy I would say is a priority add if you had a Max Scherzer, if you had a Jared Jones, if you had a Shane McClanahan, if you had one of those guys, or maybe a Tomoyuki Sugano. He is somebody that I would consider adding. I wouldn't use, if you're in a fab league, I would only use maybe 5% or 4% of my fab on him. And speaking of my waiver wire tier list, let's get to it. My must adds, and there's one guy I forgot to put on here, and that is Heston Kjerstad. He is a must add now that a guy like Colton Cowser's out for an extended period of time with a broken thumb. Heston Kjerstad is going to, they did recall, the Orioles did recall Dylan Carlson from AAA, but Heston Kjerstad is going to be the main beneficiary of more playing time in the outfield. So first of all, if you need outfield help, because you had Josh Lowe or you had Colton Cowser, highly recommend going out and adding Heston Kjerstad. But now here's my waiver wire tier list. And the guys that are in the must-add category, I have 3. The first one is Rays starting pitcher Tosh Bradley, who had a really good start on Sunday, which was yesterday. Going 6 innings, only giving up 2 runs. And his strikeouts were there. He struck out 6 Colorado Rockies. I would highly recommend adding Tosh Bradley. The next one is pitcher Torkelson. And I had mentioned in a preview video of the season that I thought Spencer Torkelson was in for a breakout year. And let me give you some stats. Opening day, he was on base 5 times. 4 of those were walks, and he hit a single. What was the issue Spencer Torkelson had last year? He was swinging at pitches outside the zone. I mean, he still does that, but he's a lot more disciplined early on in the season now, which I think if you need help at first base, because Nathaniel Lowe also went on the injured list or is going to go on the IL for the Nationals. So I would highly suggest adding a guy like Spencer Torkelson, who is going to get next to almost every day at bats. And my last must add is a shortstop, and that is Anthony Volpe. And all these guys are less than 80% rostered. in ESPN leagues, or depending on what website you play fantasy baseball on. If you need help at shortstop, Anthony Volpe is, I'm going to say, one of the high priority must adds in fantasy baseball. I think Anthony Volpe needs to be added in every league, whether it be roto categories. Obviously, he's probably already added in. He's probably added in every dynasty league already. But keeper leagues, redraft, if he's available on your waiver wire, pick him up. Here's the guys, if needed. Here's the next batch of guys, and these are pick up if needed. And I've got 3. Number 1, Cameron Meisner. And this is for all the people that either have Colton Cowser or Josh Lowe. Because I said Heston Kjerstad was a must-add for people that had Josh Lowe. If you miss out on Heston Kjerstad because somebody jumps you in the pecking order on the waiver wire to add him, go ahead and add Cameron Meisner, who is going to see near everyday at-bats right now in the Rays lineup. Mostly in right field. He'll get some playing time in left, but for the most part, he's going to be at right field. Due to Josh Lowe being out, we don't know how long Josh Lowe is going to be out for. The next one is a rookie, and Christian Campbell of the Red Sox. The kid can absolutely rake. He hit his first home run over the weekend. And I think he's in store for a breakout rookie year for the Red Sox. He's going to be their everyday second baseman. And there's 2 other prospects on the Red Sox that I think you should stash because I think they will be up sooner rather than later. And that is Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony. I believe both of them will be up later on, maybe in June, middle of June, end of June. And then the last guy that is on add if needed is Gavin Lux. He's going to get at-bats with the Reds now that he's not a Dodger anymore. He got traded to the Reds in the offseason, and I like the move personally for Gavin Lux. I think he's going to do good with the Reds. And he's a guy, if you need some depth on your infield in fantasy baseball, or if you need a guy that you can plug and play when he's in the lineup. Because right now, with Austin Hayes out, most of the time he's going to be in left field. And I have 2 guys on the no thanks. And one of them's in another segment that I will get to in a minute. And now I have Chris Paddock and Eduardo Rodriguez. The reason Chris Paddock is on the no thanks is because I have him in a separate segment. And Eduardo Rodriguez, I would just stay clear of altogether because he's going to give you those routine good games, but then there's going to be games where he just has a blow-up game where he gives up 6 or 7 runs, still gets you strikeouts, but he also gives up like 3 or 4 walks. And walks hurt you in fantasy baseball. They give you negative points, and you don't want that on your team. Now, we get to my top 4 guys that are on the injured list right now to stash. Number 4, Brian Bayo, Boston Red Sox. 8.2% rostered. Again, like I said earlier, if you need, and all these guys are pitchers, if you need starting pitching help, I really do see an avenue where you could pick up if Brian Bayo should be available in your league. If you could pick him up, put him on your bench, and if you have an IL spot, put him in your IL spot because then that gives you a free bench spot. And say you have 2 or 3 IL spots. You can pick up 2 or 3 of these guys, including Bayo, and put them in your IL spot till they're ready to come back. And then their insurance policies for when they come back off the injured list and they can help you, whether it be down the stretch later in the season, or if you're struggling and you don't want to use the waiver wire and you say, oh, wait, I listened to Alec and picked up Brian Bayo, and now I can use him. So that's number 4. Number 3 is a guy that had a really good spring training until he got injured, and that's Ryan Weathers of the Marlins. Yes, I know we shouldn't really be talking about Marlins because I know they started the season 3-1, but Ryan Weathers is one of their better pitchers. He's only 2.6% rostered. So he's less rostered than a guy like Brian Bayo. And Weathers was throwing absolute gas in spring. So again, like I said about Bayo, I'm going to say the same thing about Weathers. If you need help with starting pitching and you've got a couple guys on the injured list, or you want to stash somebody that is on the injured list, I would hope that you listen and pick up Ryan Weathers because he had a really good year last year for the Marlins. He was one of the best pitchers for the Marlins last year with Alcantara out the entire season. So I would hope that you listen to me and pick him up. Number 2 is Pirates right-handed pitcher Jared Jones, 54.9% rostered. Now, this might be a long-term IL stash because we don't know when Jared Jones is going to come back. He had elbow discomfort, and the Pirates shut him down from throwing for a period of time. Again, like I said about the other 2 guys, these guys are all guys that you can stash on your bench or in your if you have open IL spots, you could stash them in your IL on your IL, and when they come back, you can use them. And number 1 is Brandon Woodruff of the Brewers. He is 38.9% rostered. Wait, no, I'm looking at Casey Mize. Brandon Woodruff for the Brewers. He was out all last year with Tommy John surgery. And he's another guy you can stash. But the reason he's at the bottom is I don't know what Brandon Woodruff we're going to get when he comes back in 2025. Next, we get to my top 3 2-start pitchers I like this week. At number 3 is Casey Mize of the Tigers. He is 38.4% rostered. And he makes 2 starts this week. He's got at Seattle and Chicago at home. 2 decently. I love the reason I have him on here. It's not for the Seattle start. It is for that start against the White Sox. Yes, it's still really early in the season, but the White Sox offense looks decent. But that's not to say they can't have a game where they get shut out and like Casey Mize or somebody absolutely shelves and strikes out 10 or 11 guys and throws a complete game shutout. Not saying that could happen, but maybe. Number 2 is Drew Rasmussen of the Rays. He starts versus the Pirates and at the Rangers. I would advise against picking him up for that Rangers start because the Rangers offense looks really good. I like him for the start against the Pirates on Tuesday. Shane Baz goes tonight. Then it's Rasmussen tomorrow. And it's Pepio on Wednesday. And I would also thinking about stream. I'll get to one guy I like to stream this week for pitchers. But my last one is Chris Paddock of the Twins. He's got 2 starts this week. At the Twins. At the White Sox and at home against the Astros. Again, the Astros, you can pick them up for that start if you want to. I would rather have him for the start against the White Sox, just like I said about Mize. And the same thing about Rasmussen with his start against the Pirates. I want him for that start against the White Sox, and that would be Paddock. Because that other start he has against the Astros, that could be ugly. He could give up 5 or 6 runs in 4 innings. And now we get to the baseball. We get to recapping all the weekend games this week from baseball, from the MLB. Screen share. Nope. I want this. It was a tough weekend for Tigers fans. They got swept by the They got swept in a 2-game series. 3-game series. They got swept by the Dodgers. And I'm afraid to say this. I think the Dodgers might win 107 games. It was a good weekend for the Rays. They beat the Rockies on Friday 3-2 on a walk-off home run by somebody that nobody would have picked to get the game-winning hit for the Rays on Friday. And Cameron Meisner, who came off the bench to go into right field for Josh Lowe, who got hurt. And Cameron Meisner picked on the first pitch and hit a walk-off home run. Oh, no, Meisner pinch hit for Christopher Morel. Meisner hit for Morel, and Meisner hit the walk-off. Blue Jays and Orioles. The Blue Jays won on opening day. This was I don't know what to think of the Orioles. I think they're good, but I don't, at the same time, are they? And then the Pirates beat the Marlins. The Red Sox got beat by the Rangers. The Mets beat the Astros. Braves lost to the Padres. Diamondbacks beat the Cubs. And the A's beat the Mariners 7-0. Now we get to Saturday. Okay, I'm going to talk about this. So the Yankees hit 9 home runs on Saturday, led by a 3-homer game from Aaron Judge and 8 RBIs. And they're using these new bats called torpedo bats. And I don't think those should be legal, but apparently they are, because nobody's found an issue with them. And apparently there's other players in MLB that are ordering the torpedo bats. And I don't necessarily agree with it. The other silver lining from this game is I want to talk about the disgusting outing from Nestor Cortez. What a way to get shown up by your former team. Nestor Cortez went 2 innings, gave up 6 hits, 8 runs. He walked 5 Yankees and gave up 5 home runs. Yeah, I'm sorry. If you give up 5 walks in an inning, you're not making it out of that. You're not making it more than 2 innings, and you only struck out 2. I understand that the Yankees have Goldschmidt, Judge, Volpe, Peraza, Dominguez, who Dominguez actually looks like he belongs. He doesn't look like he still looks like a rookie, but he looks a lot more patient at the plate. Then again, you have the Dodgers beating the Tigers 7-3. Angels beat the White Sox 1-0. The Cardinals beat the Twins 5-1. The Orioles beat the Blue Jays 9-5. Phillies beat the Nationals 11-6. The Rockies beat the Rays 2-1. And I tell you, that Rockies bullpen, people don't give them credit, but that Rockies bullpen is actually really good. It's probably one of the better young bullpens in the National League. Yes, I know it's the first week. That was the first series of the season for them. But I think once they get their feet under them, especially Seth Halverson, I think Halverson is a sneaky good closer for the Rockies. And I didn't mention him in the waiver wire, but if you need closing help in fantasy baseball, pick up Seth Halverson. Then the Marlins walk it off for the win against the Pirates in 12 innings. The second walk-off for the Marlins, because they walked it off on Friday. They walk it off on Saturday, and I bet you could guess what's going to happen Sunday. The Reds win 3-2. The Royals beat the Guardians 4-3. The Rangers beat the Red Sox 4-3. The Astros beat the Mets 2-1. Padres beat the Braves 1-0. Cubs beat the Diamondbacks 4-3. And the A's beat the Mariners 4-2. Now we get to Sunday. And the Yankees beat the Brewers 12-3. Another slugfest, at least in terms of the Yankees. 12 runs on 11 hits. Nationals beat the Phillies 5-1. 5 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Nationals. Blue Jays beat the Orioles 3-1. Rays beat the Rockies 6-4. With Taj Bradley picking up his first win of the year. Luis Peralta takes the loss. And the other 3 games, Tim Hill was the winning pitcher for the Yankees. Aaron Civale was the loser for the Brewers. Mitchell Parker got the win for the Phillies. Aaron Nola took the loss. Finnegan got the save. Bassett got the win. Rogers took the loss. Hoffman got his first save as a Blue Jay. And the Marlins walk it off for the 3rd straight game against the Pirates. Anthony Bender got the win. David Bedard got the loss. The Reds lose 6-3 to the Giants. Robbie Ray takes the win. Nick Martinez takes the loss. Camilo Duval takes the save. Ben Joyce gets the win. Cam Boozer takes the loss, and Kenley Jansen picks up his 2nd save of the season for the Angels. The Guardians beat the Royals 6-2, with Tanner Bybee picking up the win, Michael Wacha taking the loss. Cardinals beat the Twins 9-2. Andre Palante gets the win. Bailey Ober takes the loss. Steven Matz gets the save. Rangers beat the Red Sox 3-2, with Sean Armstrong taking the win. Richard Fitz taking the loss. Luke Jackson getting his 2nd save of the season. Diamondbacks beat the Cubs 10-6. Justin Martinez gets the win. Eli Morgan takes the loss. Mariners beat the A's 2-1. Brian Wu gets the win. JP Sears takes the loss. Andres Munoz picks up his 2nd save. In the Padres beat the Braves 5-0. Smith Schaber takes the loss. Pivetta takes the win. And we wrap up with our player of the week. Marlins second baseman Otto Lopez. 14 at bats, 333 average, 1 home run, 4 RBIs with a stolen base and a 977 OPS. And the reliever of the week is Rays Pete Fairbanks. 2 appearances, 1 win, no losses. ERA of 0.00. And he had 4 strikeouts in 2 innings and a 2 whip with, again, like I said, a 0 ERA. And we offer memberships here at the Baseball Podcast and the Sports Nation YouTube channel. Highly recommend purchasing a membership. As well, we have an upcoming stream tomorrow night at 5:30 of the Sports Nation podcast with Alec and Bradley. And tonight at 10 o'clock, I will be over on my TikTok, which is Alec Sports 2025. Talking sports. Just talking about anything. Sports. Advice. Make sure to come and join. And let me know down in the comment section how you like the new setup of the podcast. But for Alec, this is the Baseball Podcast. Signing off.